everyone. Welcome to the stretch episode, which I feel should be, without a doubt, part of your personalized plan. You really want to be able to not just have strong muscles, but be able to move that muscle mobility around the joint. So you have to be able to let the muscle stretch. I'm just going to use a band to demonstrate that if I'm trying to do a side stretch and I'm not keeping my hip down, I'm lifting it, I'm not getting any stretch in my side. But if I keep the hip anchored and stretch from there, just like this band, rubber band or stretch, if I just go like this, the band doesn't stretch. But if I keep one anchored and pull, that's where the stretch goes. And I'm doing dynamic stretch. I'm not bouncing, I'm not holding it. I continue to move. And we'll go from head to toe. So allowing yourself just to find, I'll do one in the chair for the hips that I find is helpful. I'll also show it on the floor. So from here, just standing nice and tall. And you've already worked out, you're warm. And that's really when you want to stretch, because even metal will bend if you heat it up. And allowing yourself to stand tall, and we'll just start to roll out those shoulders for a sec. So doing that mobility, front, up, and back. And then coming across, and you're just holding lightly. You don't want to yank, okay? So I'm holding it lightly, feeling that stretch. I'm not turning with it. I'm stretching here, and then I can stretch and go the other way. So I'm reaching here. This is anchored. I'm not going with it. And then I go the other way. So I'm getting into that shoulder. I'll try the other side. Stretch. So I'm using a little bit of a lever, holding on to the lever. Breathe. And if your breath goes, you're doing too much. And think of gliding. And then I can move the shoulder. So that was internal rotation. I can stretch it externally. Letting that stretch, I can use two arms and stretch. So I'm feeling the pectorals that go into the arm. I can also now do the rotator cuff. So I call these corkscrews. Just turning in the joint, just turning within the joint. And now I can start adding the muscles around the joint as I make a figure eight. So I'm into the pectorals, I'm into the mid-back, the rhomboids, the lats. I'm stretching, feeling through the obliques, the ribs. And then I can, keeping this stabilized, do a lasso. And maybe swim behind me. You can't quite see it. Now you can. Do you see how much stretch I have there? I'm not this, though. And that takes some time to let that pectoral stretch. And then you can do the other side, that you start just in the joint, then you start around the joint, very slowly going. And not just winging it around. Take your time. Stretch. And this should feel good. Like you see a cat, you see them feel that stretch. And then I can stretch out my waist. Here I can add a little more lever to it. So remember, I told you, grocery bags here, grocery bags here, grocery bags here. There's more muscles involved as we go farther away from our midline. And so being able to see that as I add more of a lever, more versus here, versus here. So there, keep playing with it. I want to rotationally stretch, so let that spine stretch. So first we'll do some flexion, that I'm rounding my back, my tailbone's tucked, and Open extension of the spine, letting that spine move. I'll show another one for extension of the spine. Here I could be hands on a counter and stretching, feeling the space between my vertebrae, but keeping the knees soft, scooping the belly long back. And so we did lateral movement. I can add more a side stretch this way, but I want to go to the end of the stretch. I'm here, I'm not using my neck. Take a breath and find a little bit more, and from pinky to pinky. So that whole side chain we're stretching. Remembering it's not just all compartmentalized chains of fascia, that web that connects. And here's another side one. So you're just working your way down. A stretch for rotation is turning in that hip. So we're getting a little stretch there and swirling, touching your shoulder. So that rotation in the spine. And if I start to choke up, literally my breath tightens, I don't go as far. Listen to your body. It's telling you what it needs. And then stretching the Achilles, how important that is. We're doing the gastrocnemius here. Now I'm into the soleus. Now I'm into the hamstring of the front leg. Now I'm into the iliopsoas of this front leg. And I'm tucking and stretching the quad, pressing the heel back, not down, feeling it right there. So thinking, okay, I want to get the front, I want to get the front, I want to get the back, I want to get the hamstring, but it's all very gentle. You're allowing the muscle to lengthen. If you do this, the muscle reflex will be to tighten to protect yourself. The other one can be a side stretch. This is a little balance challenge, getting into that hip. So we're right into this whole chain. That's kind of yummy. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor, that you're not like this. I might have to put a foot here, and then you work your way across. So I move for those pretty quickly. Just keep hitting pause. One thing that I feel people are very tight in is certainly shoulders, but hips are the most. And we did, some of that shoulder mobility as you push away your hoodie. That's some pretty nice shoulder mobility, right? I can do some golf swings. So I'm showing you that rotational this way. You can imitate a golf swing. You need that mobility. You need that smoothness. Okay? Thinking of all of the parts of the legs that need a little stretch. Here I can move in the socket and get a little more deeper into this thick band, the iliotibial band. And then probably the one that is difficult to do standing, so I'll show you it seated. And it's called figure 4. It's sometimes called pigeon in yoga, but I don't recommend how they do it. You're going to cross your leg, and I could keep it here. I could keep it here, tall back. I'm at the edge of my chair, or here. But my back is straight. I'm not slumping to get. And your knee could be way up here. Don't worry about it, okay? And I can work on the flexibility of my ankle here as I bend, flex and point. Okay, so I'm stretching out the tibialis into the arch here. And then this can be done where I'm hinging, feeling side to side. I'm not lifting my hip. I'm doing a circle. So if you look at the hip, all the different movements it can do. Flexion, extension, kicking, straightening behind you as you take a step. And I can lift it, give it a little hug. We're never forcing. Please don't do that, okay? Right there, and let it go. And and maybe wiggle it, relax it, and do another round. But you see how I continue to keep moving. And this is my left, you're seeing it as my right. This one I injured cycling, so I'm careful with it. This leg is straight down, it's not doing that. That's putting a lot of pressure on your knee. And then I can do some flexion, extension, little ankle circles. I really want you to keep that movement in both ankles. Put the gas on, put on the brake. Do those slow circles, not yang, 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 no. Slow, go through the full range of motion. And then to finish, you can do some heel raises, toe raises, heel raises. And you're like, well, I thought that was strength. Well, while I'm stretching the pectorals, these muscles are contracting. And while I'm lengthening the hamstring, these muscles have to relax. They work in unison. And making sure that you're stretching the back body. We seem to be very focused on the front, and as you make your plan that, you know, oh, I'm just doing all this in front, remember the posture muscles, that strength in the deadlifts of your long spine, being able to stretch and contract your gluteals, being able to move the gluteus medius, and this is a nice stretch for them, where you're doing a little bit of a side kick, but it's done slowly. So I hope that helped. I know I kind of rush through things. I try not to let the videos go too long, but pay some attention to stretching, lengthening, doing that. I showed you on the counter is down dog, yeah. Stretch, and I'm getting a little in my shoulder as well, and maybe stretching out your digits like your cat does on the furniture. Yeah. I don't know where my kids are. Yo! No, they're waiting for dinner. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope that was helpful, and make sure to bring your questions. Take care.